Uh, Chairman Gimenez, you're recognized for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Pappas, or anybody can answer this. In light of what happened in Baltimore, and that was, right now it looks like every indication was it was an accident. What other ports, how many ports do we have in the United States that are vulnerable to such either an accident or an attack that's actually not an accident? So how many ports in the United States would be vulnerable to such a thing where a ship strikes a bridge, the bridge collapses, and then basically the port is out of commission? How many ports do we have like that?
Mr. Chairman, I'll take a first shot at that. I would say that every port is vulnerable. I think given the cyber challenges and the interconnectedness, the continued interconnectedness of the marine transportation system, and the inherent vulnerabilities with that interconnectedness, that we have to be ever vigilant to continuously evolve efforts to close those vulnerabilities. Specific to number of ports that may have infrastructure that could impact or cause the closure of a particular port, I don't have particular numbers, but I think anything that crosses a waterway poses a particular hazard or threat, and we need to be evaluating on a regular basis, assessing those waterways. As more congestion comes into our ports, we need to understand that and be nimble and flexible to be able to put safeguards in place to ensure the safe and efficient movement of commerce.
I think it'd be wise for the Coast Guard to do an inventory of those critical ports that are critical to the security of the United States, and see either by accident or by intentional act how those ports can be affected. I mean, this accident in Baltimore is clear indication. One ship hits a bridge and the port is out of action for some time. A foreign adversary could say have a coordinated attack, and this is not far-fetched. I mean, this is what happened in 9/11, right? So coordinated attack to affect our ability to respond around the world, especially our military around the world. Have we done such an analysis? And if we haven't, I think it should be done to say, okay, these ports are vulnerable in this fashion to being shut down and affecting our ability as a country to respond around the world.
Mr. Chairman, so just to be clear, each of our sector commanders, our captains of port, have real-time information on ongoing threats and hazards within each of those ports, and they are regularly assessing risks on a daily basis to understand the impact to the marine transportation system. A consolidated list of single point failures within those ports, I'll bring that back to the staff to verify that we have done something like that. But on a daily basis, every one of our sector commanders is regularly assessing risks, whether that's weather, whether that's congestion, whether that's impacts to the waterway due to navigation challenges. They're regularly assessing those ports to ensure that we can continue to move cargo on a daily basis. We certainly understand the significance of the
but in Baltimore, did anybody assess the risk of a ship hitting that bridge and it causing it to collapse? Did anybody do that? Look, I mean, you got to think of the stuff that's never happened before. What if? The what if? And I guess because that's my firefighter in me. What if? All right. It's better to prevent something than to say, oh, gee, look, it collapsed. Okay, it collapsed because it got struck by a ship. Was there anything you could have done to that bridge, fortified it, so that if it got struck by a ship, it would not have collapsed?
As I'm not a bridge expert, sir, but I would certainly say that at the conclusion of the investigation, the causal factors and recommendations that will come through, we'll take those into account.
That's what I'm calling for. So those critical ports are critical to the security of the United States, that if somehow can be knocked out of commission, what are the ways that you can knock it out of commission, and what are the things we need to do to make sure it's not knocked out of commission before it actually happens? I believe in Murphy's Law, right? And if anything, and it doesn't mean everything's bad. It just says Anything that can happen will. And obviously, look, it happened in Baltimore. It could happen. A ship lost power. It hit the bridge collapsed. Could we have done something to make sure that even in the event of Murphy's Law taking effect, that we had protection around the bridge structure so that it would not collapse, because now the largest port for vehicles in the United States is knocked out of action, and it's going to hurt the economy. I'm worried more also about our ability to respond around the world, and an adversary taking certain actions to make sure that we don't respond around the world, because we do need maritime assets when we're responding around the world. That's my concern. That's all I'm putting on the table.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you.